back to EDH Deck Building. I am your host, Demo, and this is my second deck tech from Dominaria United, and it's going to be Hazezon, Shaper of Sand. Red, green, and a white human warrior 3/3 has Desert Walk, which of course means that it can't be blocked if defending player controls a desert. You may play desert lands from your graveyard, and whenever a desert enters the battlefield under your control, create 2/1/1 red, green, and white Sand Warrior creature tokens. This is one of the most interesting and very flavorful as well commanders from the set. There actually was a lot of very flavorful legendary creatures from Dominaria United, which I liked a lot. There also wasn't a whole lot of ones that made me groan or made me go, oh, now I got to deal with that. I didn't see a lot of that. A lot of them were really interesting and fun. This one I liked a lot because it was very unique, very flavorful, and obviously there is a lot we can do here, even though it might not seem like much, right? You have 3 abilities that are all dealing with deserts, but there actually is quite a bit going on here. So first things first, we gotta be doing the desert thing. And I'll just say the Desert Walk, I didn't build around that at all, okay? It is likely that your opponents will have deserts, I think. Scavenger Grounds is a pretty popular one in the format, right? I put that in a lot of my decks. So it is possible that you could attack with your commander and it won't be blocked. I didn't build around that at all, mainly because I didn't want to go at all in the Voltron strategies. Just getting him for 3 damage didn't seem great. Also, the problem with deserts and why they work good in this deck is because they sacrifice themselves, all right? So if you're relying on your opponent having their Scavenger Grounds in play and then you attack with your commander, they can sacrifice it in response and then block your commander, right? And if you really want to go deep and say put a Bazaar Trader in here so that you can donate your own deserts to your opponents, again, what if you donate one of those ones like Grasping Dunes that sacrifices itself? Now your commander can be blocked, right? So I didn't think that was a great way to go. Just a little added bonus that our commander has Desert Walk, in my opinion. Of course, we are putting all the deserts we can in here. There are 16 deserts that fit in Naya colors in this deck, so I put them all. Now, of course, they are all either monocolored or colorless, which isn't great in a 3-color deck, but thankfully we're in green, so mana fixing is usually not going to be an issue here. It might be a little more difficult than normally would in a Naya deck, though. I also found a couple of cards that actually fit the desert theme as well. Ramanap Hydra, I thought actually was a pretty good fit. 3 and a green, Snake Hydra 3/3, Vigilance, Reach, Trample. It gets +1/+1 as long as you control a desert, which you almost assuredly will, and gets +1/+1 if you have a desert in your graveyard, which you likely will. So 5/5 Vigilance, Reach, Trample. I thought that was worth throwing in the deck. Why not? Again, very thematic. This is going to be a very thematic deck, right? I think a lot of people might just go straight landfall type of deck with this. I didn't want to. I wanted to stick on theme and make it a little more interesting. Hour of Promise. Hey, this is a perfect fit in the deck, of course, because you can search your library for 2 land cards. Any land card, right? Doesn't have to be a basic land. Put them on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. A lot of people will use this in their decks just to go get Cabal Coffers and Urborg, right? However, we actually get to use the second part there finally. Then if you control 3 or more deserts, create 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. So that actually might come into effect. Mostly though, we're just going to get our deserts with this, obviously, right? Because we do need to have a couple in play in order for our deck to work. Realms Uncharted, this card couldn't be any more perfect in the deck, of course. 2 and a green instant, search your library for 4 land cards with different names and reveal them. An opponent chooses 2 of those cards, put the chosen cards into your graveyard and the rest into your hand. So, hey, we're just going to go search for 4 deserts. We don't care which ones go to the graveyard because, of course, we can play them from our graveyard. So this is absolutely one of the best cards in the deck for that. Temp with Discovery as well allows us to get any land, even if we only get the 1 desert with this. I think it's worth it. We gotta have at least 1 desert in play, right? We can sacrifice them and keep replaying them from our graveyard to get our commander's trigger, but we definitely for sure need at least 1. So we need stuff like Tempt with Discovery, and of course we can end up getting as much as 4 with this as well. We can use Elvish Reclaimer to go get those lands. Of course, we do have a lot of the typical land themed deck stuff in here, obviously. I didn't want to go too much down that road, but of course with Elvish Reclaimer we can sacrifice land to search for a land. We want to be sacrificing lands, we can play them from our graveyard, and of course we want to be searching for lands so we can get those deserts into play. Crop Rotation is a 1-shot that will do the same thing. I put Restore in the deck. I thought this was a great fit. This is a card that doesn't see nearly enough play. 1 and a green, Sorcery. Put target land card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. The interesting thing here is you can actually steal your opponent's lands out of their graveyard, but this is just a random ramp spell, right? This is 2 mana, put any land card from my graveyard into play. So it's a ramp spell. We're guaranteed going to have lands in our graveyard. So now we can just put any desert from our graveyard directly into play. Doesn't count towards our land drop for turn, obviously. Just a pretty good 2 mana ramp spell. I also got Command Beacon and Petrified Field in the deck. We are going to be sacrificing our lands a lot, and we are going to be playing them from our graveyards a lot. Having these in the deck, of course, Command Beacon will allow us to get our commander back, which is very, very important in this deck. This is obviously one of those decks where we want our commander to be in play in order to be doing a lot of stuff. Petrified Field sacrifices itself to get any other land out of our graveyard if we need to. And of course, we got to have Crucible of Worlds. We got to have Ramanap Excavator. We also have Aranus Gloomstalker, the newer version of this, 2 and a green, Halfling Ranger, 3/3 with Death Touch. When Aranus Gloomstalker attacks, return a land card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So that'll help get stuff out of our graveyard. It's likely that we might be sacrificing more than 1 land per turn. And if you're playing those land cards from your graveyard, you can't be playing them from your hand. So you want other effects that will put stuff into play, right? Aranus will just put those land cards from our graveyard on the battlefield so it doesn't count towards our playing land for turn, whereas a Crucible will. Exploration, of course, will allow us to just play an additional land per turn. So now we can play 2 lands from our graveyard every turn. Of course, we have to have Titania, Protector of Argoth, because we're going to be sacrificing those lands a whole bunch. And whenever a land you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, we get to create a 5/3 green elemental creature token and put it onto the battlefield. And we are in a little bit of a token theme here as well. And so for that reason, I put Parallel Lives and Anointed Procession in. Again, these are kind of expensive cards, but it's just so hard to pass up on the value. Every time we play a desert, we're going to be creating 4 of those tokens. That's really, really good, right? Pretty hard to pass up on these. Inspiring Leader, 2 and a white, legendary enchantment background. Commander creatures you own have creature tokens you control get +2/+2. Now all those tokens are going to be 3/3s. So again, we got Inspiring Leader, we got Anointed Procession. All of a sudden, when we play a desert, we get 4 3/3 creatures. That's pretty incredible value. I got Benny Brax and Ellen Harbury's in here as well. Going to give us card advantage because we're creating those tokens likely on every one of our turns. Idol of Oblivion, we can just tap it to draw a card after we create those tokens. So all that token creation stuff is going to work here really, really well. Killer Service is going to work particularly well here. 2 and a green enchantment. When Killer Service enters the battlefield, create a number of food tokens equal to the number of opponents you have. That's pretty handy to have, I guess. If we have our Parallel Lives out or something, we can create some more of them. The important part here is at the beginning of your end step, you may pay 2 and sacrifice a token. If you do, create a 4/4 green Rhino Warrior creature token. So now on our end step, we can turn that 1/1 token into a 4/4 token. And why this is particularly good in the deck is because these are 4/4 green Rhino Warrior creature tokens. And we are also going to be doing the warrior theme here as well, right? I got Bramblewood Paragon in this deck. Each other warrior you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. So again, every time we play a desert, those 1/1s are going to now be 2/2s, and each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has Trample. Obsidian Battle Axe, which I think should be going in way more decks, and I will be talking about that very soon on a video. 3 mana, Tribal Artifact Warrior Equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+1 and has haste. Whenever a warrior creature enters the battlefield, you may attach Obsidian Battle Axe to it. So at the very least, we create those tokens. We can immediately attach Obsidian Battle Axe to one of them. It's now a 3/2 creature with haste that we can just swing with. But don't forget, our commander is also a warrior, right? So when our Hazezon enters the battlefield, we can attach this to it, and now it's a 5/4 with haste, and it has Desert Walk, so it might be unblockable as well. So the warrior tribal theme works extra good here because our commander is a warrior as well. Lavissa Cold Eyes, 3 red, red human, 3/3. Each creature that's a barbarian, warrior, or berserker gets +2/+2 and has haste. This is a bit of a dangerous card, of course, because this works for our opponents too, but I think it's going to work better for us. Again, we play a desert, those tokens come into play. Let's say we have our Parallel Lives in play. We get 4 tokens. They're all going to be 3/3s and have haste, so we can immediately attack for 12 damage if we want to. That seems pretty good. This can be a really aggressive deck at times. Kargan, War Leader, just going to give our warriors +1/+1. And again, don't forget that's our commander as well. Through Rush of Battle in here, 3 and a white sorcery. Creatures you control get +2/+1 until end of turn. Warrior creatures you control gain lifelink until end of turn. This is how we're going to win with this deck, right? We're just going to attack probably with our tokens, with all of our creatures, in fact. Aki Ronin I thought was a pretty good fit here. 1 in a red, Goblin, Samurai, 1/3. Whenever a Samurai or a Warrior you control attacks alone, you may discard a card if you do draw a card. So this works particularly good for a couple of reasons. Again, we have those Warriors that we can very easily attack with. We can attack with our Commander if an opponent has a desert and we don't have to worry about it getting blocked. Or if we can't do that, we can just throw one of those tokens at our Commanders if we want to be able to use this ability. The reason why this ability works so good is because, of course, we can play those deserts from our graveyard. This is just really good card advantage. We can discard one of our deserts out of our hand. Rather than playing it from our hand, we pitch it into the graveyard, draw a card, and then play it from our graveyard. So this essentially becomes just draw a card, which is pretty darn good value. I also got Maya Bredegard Protector in here. Not anything warrior tribal, but definitely fits with what we're doing, right? Other creatures you control get +1/+1, so that Anthem effect is going to be great with all the tokens we're making. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, we're going to create a 1/1 white human warrior creature token. So it's doing a very similar thing. We're in the token theme, we're in the warrior theme, we're in the lands theme. This really sort of is an auto include, in my opinion, in any Hazezon deck. Again, we're going to be winning by probably attacking with our tokens. So I put Bortusk Liege in here and Balefire Liege. And the reason why is because other red creatures you control get +1/+1. Other white creatures you control get +1/+1. Bortusk is going to give the Anthem to red and green creatures. And our tokens that we are making, very important, are red, green, and white. And with these lieges, they give the Anthem effect to both of those colors. So if we have a Bortusk Liege in play, our tokens will get the bump from being red and from being green. So they will be 3/3 tokens. And again, our Commander as well, right? Our Commander is now a 5/5 with this in play. These guys work extra good with multicolored creatures, and our tokens that we are making are 3-color creatures, very important. I also threw Jetmir Nexus of Revels in here. I mean, this guy's just fantastic if you're in any go wide strategy, so why not? Our creatures are going to get +1/+0 and have vigilance as long as we control 3 or more creatures. I mean, that'll be immediately, I mean, that's going to be always turned on. Creatures you control also get +1/+0 and have trample as long as you control 6 or more creatures. Again, that's not going to be very hard. Even if we just have Jetmir and our Commander in play, that's 2. We play 1 desert, that's 4 creatures in play. We play 1 more desert, we now have 6 creatures in play. So all of our creatures get +2/+0 and have vigilance and trample. Going to be pretty easy to close out the game after that. And of course, if we can get up to 9 creatures, they're all going to get an additional +1/+0 and have double strike. That's pretty much game over then. And I think it's very attainable in this deck. Really interesting Commander, I think. Again, it seems like you're very one-dimensional in what you're doing, but not really. We're doing the desert thing. We're in a lands theme. We're in a token theme. We are in a warrior tribal theme. So we really are doing quite a bit here. Very interesting deck, I think. The deck list, of course, for it is in the description below. Feel free to check it out if you want to, but that is it for today, and thanks for tuning in.